This is going to be a different video, so I'll just have a presentation right here and then, yeah, I guess talk a bit about the different topics and just not really that scripted, so I don't know if it's going to be any good, but let's see. So, today we're going to talk about science and technology. This is from Abitur. Yeah, so mostly this is about what the technology might bring and whether or not it's actually desirable. So, like for example, many things have very obvious advantages, but there might also be some ethical issues that go along with it. First off, we've got cloning, and just to be first, so when I searched for images for this, I just basically typed in the title of the topic and then stock photo. So this is what you'll see. And yeah, so cloning has some very obvious advantages, such as, for example, being able to basically clone anyone. So, for example, for infertile children or for couples that can't have children, they might still be able to conceive a biological child, so to say, and which is very promising. And also, I guess there's the topic of organ donors. But that's actually a first point of ethical issues because, like, breeding someone just for the purposes of um, basically taking their organs might not be the ideal form of treating a human being. But yeah, I guess there's also the issue of, like, how do we treat clones basically? How would you personally treat an genetically identical copy of yourself? And yeah, what might be useful would be the to basically, if someone dies of unnatural causes, to be able to basically bring them back, at least genetically. But this also is, you know, I mean, it's not that hard to see that. It's a bit weird to, I guess, replace a dead person with a baby that just has the same genetic code. So, I mean, cloning is still far off, so we don't really know what it's going to be able to do. But the idea that we currently have of cloning is like not really that great. I guess being able to get organs is really cool for the person getting the organs, but not really for the person having to donate them. On a similar note, genetic engineering, basically being able to change a baby's genetic code while still in the womb or even after the fact, basically being able to implant cells with a different kind of genetic code. This can cure many incurable diseases. I guess, for example, like if many blood cell related diseases, so not being able to, for example, transport that much oxygen in your blood, stuff like that, their genetic engineering really helps. But there's also the issue of, like, basically just abusing this thing. So using this, for example, just to look good, basically, as a way of creating a baby that fits your exact ideas of a baby. So that concept is called designer babies. But like, yeah, that's this abuse is like really hard, I guess, to regulate. And so I wanted to say that this is far off, but not actually that much. So I guess there is already the technology, and I guess it's already being done. But yeah, we just need to figure out a way how to cope with that once it gets available to more than a few people. And yeah, next up, prosthetics. So I guess there's not much to be said against prosthetics. It's just mostly for people who want to live the best life and due to disabilities are not able to do that. And yeah, a prosthetic helps them with that. Also, like people who maybe lost a limb or stuff like that, that can get that replaced and still live the life they lived before that. And the only real issue with these is that like some people might not be able to afford them and while still needing them. So this is a very big problem. But I guess that will, with the availability of 3D printers and stuff like that, I guess prosthetics can be more accessible to all soon. Then next up, the big topic currently, AI, like ChatGPT and stuff like that. AI is a very weird one. Currently, it's really hyped up and stuff, but I guess the question is mostly here, how are we going to use AI? So currently, it's mostly about assisting or just doing tasks for us if we don't want to do them. And there are also some creative uses for AI, but like for example AI art, which is just copyright infringement and not real art, and all of that is very difficult to handle, I guess. Also, maybe AI taking away certain jobs might be an issue, but then there's also the possibility of AI taking jobs that we maybe don't even want to do in the first place, and that people have to do for a very low wage, especially in combination with robotics. AI can handle or can do a lot more stuff than strictly programmed robots can do. And I guess the main part about this is being able to use AI not as something that takes our jobs, but makes them easier. So like basically just like a tool or an assistant, I guess, and not really just being like, oh yeah, do that for me, but instead, I guess how it's mostly used in coding nowadays. So writing like certain code snippets that might be helpful, but not writing whole programs because those don't work typically. How, at least, don't work how you designed them to. And yeah, so that's the difficulty with AI. And I guess also, if AI takes over certain jobs, it should be important to either create new jobs that are more desirable, but probably it's more likely that we need to change the way we think about jobs. So essentially just if AI takes over certain jobs and there are less jobs available to all, then I guess no one really has to work that much anymore. So maybe just soften that up a bit, but we'll see what the future brings. But this is certainly something that will change the way our current world works. Next up, self-driving cars. So I'm personally really annoyed by this. Well, let's first off let's get the advantages. So obviously, self-driving cars. It's very comfortable to just be able to lean back and let the car drive for us. Also, if self-driving cars were perfected, they would basically be a lot more safe than any human driver would be able to drive. But there is firstly the issue that of who takes responsibility. If a self-driving car runs over someone, who exactly is responsible? Is it the manufacturer? Is it the person sitting in the driver's seat? That's something that has to be made clear, firstly. And then there's also the issue of like, if you have to kill someone, who do you kill? And stuff like that, because, that needs to be coded in, I guess. And that's a really difficult moral dilemma to basically solve. And yeah, there's also the issue of, well, is it even desirable? So, are self-driving cars really that useful? And I personally, that's why this topic is like really annoying to me, really don't think so. Because self-driving cars, I guess, they serve no practical use. Because, like, if you are driving somewhere in a car and you don't want to drive, then you can take a taxi or you could take the train, and that would be way more efficient because if everyone has their personalized car that can drive them anywhere, then there's just lots of cars everywhere around. And I guess that's the discussion of like why cars are not very practical, but self-driving cars won't solve that problem at all. So there's no real point in making them other than being able to sell them. And well, if you have a personal self-driving car, that's really practical. But long term or overall, it won't serve any purpose and won't help anyone. Just to be able to like drive somewhere without having to drive. There are tons of other options for that we could focus on instead, and like I guess making our public transport better. But no, yeah, self-driving cars are just like really not that useful, to be honest. Next up, space travel. Excuse the low-res image, but yeah, this is also like the typical stuff that is in future visions, basically being able to travel to different planets and solar systems and stuff like that. I don't know if it's that practical. Like, it's cool, obviously. Like, I don't know who wouldn't want to be on the moon or on the Mars or like even on another in another solar system, right? But it also doesn't really serve a purpose. Obviously, research and stuff like that are important, and I guess government funded space programs are quite, I guess, nice to have. But instead of trying to colonize Mars or stuff like that, we should maybe first try to solve our issues on Earth. And I guess like stuff like rockets doesn't really make the climate change or impacts it negatively. So yeah, and also there are like these mostly private ideas like SpaceX and programs like that that are basically all about space tourism and the image of, oh yeah, we're making space available for all, but in reality it's just like for the ultra rich. So like why what is desirable about having billionaires travel to space only to come back down and be like, wow, I was in space? There's no purpose here, and space tourism and all of that is mostly where our space travel is headed towards. And also, like, colonizing Mars would, in practicality, be just a super difficult thing to do and way harder than basically solving any problem on Earth, like terraforming the planet or stuff like that. Then we could just use our inhabitable planet and live there. But yeah, space travel in the sense of like going to different objects and doing research on them and stuff like that is pretty good. You know, it's actually, well, it's not really that helpful, even though technology used in space travel might be used on Earth as well. But I guess most research doesn't really serve a purpose uh, in the first instance, but instead just discovers a purpose on the way. And I guess the same thing with space travel. Maybe it's very useful in the future. We don't know yet. But yeah, all of this space tourism stuff or using rockets as public transport or stuff like that, that's just incredibly stupid and mostly just about the ego of billionaires who have too much money and don't want to spend it on actually good causes. And yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess that was me rambling now. Bye.